Oh, yeah. We're gonna talk about it. Let's talk about it. Talk about it. Talk about it. It's a place to be. Teaching art collaboratively. It's a show that lets you know where art goes creatively. Talk about it. It's a place to be. Teaching art collaboratively. It's a show that lets you know where art goes creatively. Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about it. We're gonna talk about it.
Hi, I'm Sarah Kersh. I am a 7th and 8th grade art teacher at Jones Middle School, and this is
Sha-Tia Holloway. I am the information literacy specialist, or my less fancy title, librarian, at Jones Middle School.
and we're here to talk about how we collaborated to come up with this really interesting, fun, hands-on activity for any level of students. Of course, we're working with the middle school, but this lesson applies very simply to elementary or even high school.
Very much.
So she's going to talk about a book that she found in the library, and then we'll get to the next step.
So our book is Keith Haring, The Boy Who Just Kept Drawing. This is actually a Bluebonnet book this year for the 2018-2019 year. It is a wonderful book. Keith Haring is an artist. He is mostly known for his dancing figures. He would paint and draw and paint and draw and paint and draw all the time.
Look at this
People
librarian
always
knowing her
wonder-
artist stuff. That's awesome.
Well, you know, I think I'm a little bit of an artist too. We won't go into
probably
that
are.
right now, but I am actually I'm a really good artist. And this book is about him and his journey with art and drawing and how he wanted it to be for everyone. He did not think that his art should just be for those who could afford it. He thought that his art should be for everyone. And so he drew in subways, he drew on walls, he drew murals for children's hospitals. He wanted to make sure that his art reached more than just those that were in a museum. So one page that really stuck out to me throughout the entire book, people were always asking, why do you always draw? Why are you always drawing? Why are you giving your art away? And at the end of the book, he finally stops drawing long enough to answer the question. And he says, Keith stopped drawing just for a moment and answered, I draw all the time because there are many spaces to fill. I give my drawings away to help make the world a better place. I draw everywhere because everyone needs art. Then Keith turned back to the street, took a piece of chalk from his pocket, and just kept drawing. And that was Keith. He just kept drawing.
And I love that because the little quote here, what he says, I give my drawings away to help make the world a better place. I draw everywhere because everyone needs art. This is kind of like what we need to talk to you guys about with these episodes, that art can be used in any core subject. If you have uninterested children, if you have someone that might be struggling with something, this can be an avenue for them to maybe get that teak that they're not quite right with. So with our kids, middle school, did you read the story to them?
I have not read it to them yet. We, at our level, we don't get the lower Bluebonnet books. We get the ones that are geared towards more the 5th and 6th grade edge of it. So I have not read this to all of my groups yet. I've read it to some. Some children have checked it out because they wanted to know what was going on, because they see all this art in the library and they're like, well, what is this? And I'm like, wait, there's a book for that. And so it kind of brings in the book with the art, and it gets the kiddos reading more.
So in the middle school level, they could read this on their own. They can read in
very
small
much
groups. And then, of course, for the elementary groups, I know that the elementary librarians, unless I'm wrong, they have that time to read aloud. So maybe after the read aloud, you can talk about some of the activities you can do in the library, and then I'll talk to you about the art.
Okay, sounds good. At a elementary level, I would say that, of course, you would read the book as a whole group. You know, let the kids ask questions, you know, get them involved with the reading. If you're at a higher elementary level, like 4th and 5th graders, have them read a couple pages or have them read the book to the group. They love that. Anytime they get to stand in front of the class and turn the pages themselves,
Right.
they become the teacher. Let them have their moment. At a lower level, I would say giving them a template of one of his drawings and then cutting it out, having them color and express themselves, giving them kind of a guide, but letting them be their own artist would probably be the best at that grade level. You could also get black butcher paper, and you could, if you get it really long, if you have enough at your school, as your principal, beg for the black butcher paper.
Right.
You could actually have the kids, because at that level, they're small enough, they could probably lay down on the black butcher paper and kind of get into like their fun little dance pose, and then have them trace out their dance pose and then maybe color or fill it in. They could cut that out and then line the school with them.
Oh, and you can do that with any level sure. Because imagine those kids having their figure across the wall.
Can
you
imagine middle schoolers laying down?
Oh my gosh.
They would love it.
The new schools aren't allowed to put stuff on the walls, but maybe they can make an exception. We can ask.
On chart paper,
right?
And then put it on there.
It'd be fun.
I think we should try it. You can try it. At higher levels, at like a high school level, don't let the children tell you they don't want to be read to. Older kids love being read to. It is amazing how quiet a room of teenagers can get if you pull out a picture book. So you can have them read it in a small group. You can read it to them. But with them, you can get a little more creative. I know at our campus, we're at a new school now, and we have 3D printers. So I created little figures on our 3D printer. We have different colors. They can stand.
Those are so cool.
It's really cool. It amazed me. I watched it. This took an hour and 20 minutes to make.
Wow.
But once that hour and 20 minutes was over, so much fun.
Yeah, you can do that with maybe like your gifted and talented kids. You can have them create their own sketch, and you actually enter that sketch into the 3D. I haven't used the 3D printer yet. I'm so excited about it. I know that a lot of campuses are getting them. Maybe the librarian or the library is a good place for it. Because that would be a really neat.
We have those maker spaces, and this is a great opportunity to bring in other subjects and just bring the book into the maker space in its own self.
That's awesome. And I love that she and I collaborated. She had the book, she read, and I brought art to the library to have the kids more interested in what's going on. Yeah, it's a new school again, and they're still being picky about what can and cannot go on the walls. But I did find when we made these, and these are our little Keith Haring figures, and I'm going to explain how we made these. When we put these in the library, the kids are like, "Oh, Miss, mine's in the library. Did you see it?" They're so excited. And the kids,
there's mine.
right, and it actually brought kids into the library. So that made me feel really good. So what I'm going to show you guys is how to make these characters, and there are lots of ways you can do this. I actually used a couple different materials, and you can actually use recyclable. Is that how you say it? Recycle. Yeah, you can use those kind of materials to create these. So first, I'm going to show you from the book, and it's also something that I had in the classroom too, so the kids could see. I actually downloaded it and had them watch it on the Promethean board, and it flipped through. The reader was far more interesting than me. So they were watching, and never, she says, they were watching, and after they got some really good pictures from in here, can you see still? After they, like this for example, just lots of figures. They saw different examples of how he liked to draw his figures. And after they had plenty examples, they got their sketchbooks out and they sketched their own figure in whatever position they wanted to be in. After they had the sketch, we moved from sketchbook to this one is poster board. And they sketched out on their poster board. They cut it out. They put their first copy on top of poster board, traced it, and then cut it out. So they had two exact copies of the same figure. After they did that, they added like toilet paper rolls. They cut them and put them in the middle, taped those down. and then you kind of sandwich the two sides together, and then simple masking tape. Make sure it's masking tape, not what's that plastic, the see-through one?
Oh, the transparent.
Not the not the clear, because you can't paint over it. It's got to be masking tape. And I had the kids, and this part was tedious, and I was really nervous that the kids were going to be like, do I have to do this? But they sat down and they just, yeah, right. They had about an inch and a half, and they just taped one side to the next all the way around the figure. And it took them a little bit of time, but depending on the size, and there are a couple of different sizes, after they got all the way around the figure, simple, they just painted right over it. And I actually am going to have some of these students add some detail using like a permanent marker to make it kind of more of that pop art, because we're talking about the pop art right now in class. And then I went to the library with theirs as soon as these dried off, and I put them on the top shelf, and they just stood on top of her shelves, and there they were.
The walls right now, and it's just amazing. Even people that are visiting our campus, when they stop by the library, they're like, oh my goodness. And I'm like, it's our wonderful art teacher. I just don't know.
And it's been so nice to have a librarian that I can collaborate with. And you guys, I know that you might be new to your campus like we were. I didn't know her, but it's been a nice way to get to know each other and work together. We're already talking about what else we can do and what other art can be displayed in her library. And I'm always looking for a book and collaborating to make this art.
And librarians love to collaborate in all realms.
Oh, and book fair's coming up, so I'm sure there's something there.
Yay.
I'm sure there's something there I can grab that we can work on together.
Definitely.
So that's all we have for now, and I want to thank you. I appreciate your watching. Again, I'm Sarah Kersh. I'm at Jones Middle School.
I'm Sha-Tia Holloway. I am at Jones Middle School also.
And we'll see you next time.
Oh, yeah. We're gonna talk about it. Let's talk about it.